Men over 60, what if I told you that a habit you've had for decades, something you probably think is harmless, could be quietly draining your sexual vitality? I'm not talking about a rare condition or something only other men face. This is something happening in bedrooms across America, and almost no one is warning you about it. Done the wrong way, it can chip away at your strength, weaken your confidence, and leave you wondering where your spark has gone. But done right, it can actually make you stronger. I'm Dr. Nana, and for over 20 years, I've specialized in senior men's sexual health. Every week in my clinic, I meet men just like you, men who are trying to figure out why their erections aren't as strong, why their sensitivity is fading, or why their confidence has taken a hit. This isn't about shaming you. It's about giving you the truth so you can protect your health. Masturbation by itself isn't simply good or bad, but when it's done the wrong way, it can strain blood flow, disrupt your hormones, and even isolate you emotionally. Done the right way, it becomes a tool for strength, confidence, and connection. The difference lies in technique, timing, and truly listening to what your body needs. In this video, I'm going to reveal 6 hidden risks no one talks about, how to turn this habit into a genuine health booster, and a natural 7-second method to reclaim firmness and drive without pills, prescriptions, or risky shortcuts. Before we dive in, type 1 in the comments if this resonates with you, or oh if it's brand new information. I read every single comment, and yes, I do reply. And don't forget, subscribe to Senior Health Boost for honest, science-backed strategies that help you stay strong at every age. Let's start with the first risk. It's not what most men expect. This one doesn't just affect your body, it hits your emotional well-being in ways you may have never connected to this habit. There's a silent drain on your energy that's easy to overlook but powerful enough to steal your spark, especially if you've been relying on self-pleasure as a quick escape from stress or boredom. I've seen this pattern over and over. Older men caught in a private cycle that slowly chips away at their strength without them even realizing it. Take Robert, a 68-year-old retired engineer. He spent his life solving complex problems and enjoying simple pleasures: woodworking, gardening, daily walks. But recently, a strange heaviness set in. His sleep was steady. His medications hadn't changed. Yet a deep exhaustion followed him everywhere. When Robert tried to get back to his projects, the energy just wasn't there. One day, he told me, "Doctor, I don't know what's happening. I wake up feeling like someone stole my battery overnight. I'm too embarrassed to talk about it with anyone." That confusion and hidden shame? It's more common than you think. And if you felt something similar, I want you to hear this. It's not a moral failure. It's a health issue, rooted in a biological truth most men never learn. Frequent masturbation can cause your body to spike cortisol, the stress hormone. When cortisol rises, your system goes into high alert, pulling resources from other vital functions to calm itself down. Over time, recovery slows. Your metabolism struggles. What once felt like harmless release now leaves you tired, weak, and emotionally worn down. And here's the kicker. When fatigue sets in, you naturally move less. Less movement weakens your muscles, shrinks your endurance, and chips away at your heart health and mental sharpness. It's a slow chain reaction that many don't notice until it costs them their strength, mobility, or independence. Many men believe that constant sexual release will keep them young, strong, and full of life. It's a tempting belief, but it's not entirely true. As you age, hormonal and metabolic shifts change the way your body responds. Instead of charging you up, too much release can drain the very systems you need to stay healthy. The smarter path: moderation. For most men over 60, 2 to 3 times a week is plenty. Give your body rest, days in between. Support your hormones with nourishing foods, hydration, and regular physical activity. But while your body feels the effects of fatigue, your brain is facing an even deeper, more dangerous threat. After we explored in page 1 how frequent self-pleasure can silently drain your physical energy and weaken your overall vitality, it's time to look deeper into the way it rewires your brain's reward system and quietly changes your relationship with pleasure itself. I'm Dr. Nana, and I want you to understand this next part clearly because it's one of the most overlooked reasons older men struggle to feel truly satisfied. When self-stimulation becomes a frequent habit after 60, it's not just your muscles that feel the impact. Your nervous system, particularly the delicate circuitry that governs cravings and rewards, begins to shift. Instead of savoring genuine moments of pleasure, your brain can start chasing quick relief over and over without delivering the same spark you once knew. At the center of this change is dopamine, the chemical messenger in your brain responsible for feelings of reward and motivation. In a younger brain, dopamine receptors are sensitive and responsive. But as the decades pass, these receptors naturally become less reactive. That means it takes more stimulation to achieve the same sense of excitement. The very habits that once brought satisfaction can begin to feel flat, even hollow. So what happens? You repeat them more frequently, more urgently trying to recapture the old feeling. But instead of fulfillment, you end up locked in a cycle of chasing, never quite catching that original satisfaction. Take Thomas, for example, a 71-year-old retired high school principal who had spent his life living by structure and routine. He told me that over time, masturbation stopped feeling like a pleasurable choice and started feeling like a daily obligation. In his words, it wasn't about pleasure anymore. It was like I couldn't think clearly until I did it. That realization scared him because he'd never felt so out of control in his own mind. This is where the real danger begins. When a private act shifts from a conscious choice to an unshakable compulsion, it stops being about desire and starts being about silencing an inner restlessness. Instead of enhancing your life, it begins to steal your mental freedom. Healthy sexual expression is important at any age. But once dopamine-driven urges take over, the balance tips. One session becomes a daily ritual. Then, sometimes, multiple sessions each day, all driven by a reward system that's been trained to demand more and more for the same payoff. This slippery slope effect happens because of a process called neuroadaptation. Each time you trigger that same reward pathway too often, your brain raises the threshold for what feels satisfying. Over time, you need more intensity or more frequency to feel the same level of pleasure you once got from far less. And the effects don't stop in the bedroom. The overactivation of this reward system begins to dull your motivation for other joys in life. That book you once couldn't put down? It feels less engaging. The garden you used to love tending? It's harder to get excited about. Your attention drifts, your thoughts feel hazy, and your daily life starts to lose its color. Even if your body still responds physically, your emotional connection to others can fade. You might find yourself pulling away from friends, avoiding family gatherings, or losing interest in meaningful conversation. This is the hidden cost of what experts call neurochemical hijacking when your brain's reward system is rewired to prioritize one craving above all other forms of satisfaction. Instead of drawing joy from a variety of experiences, shared meals, laughter, creative hobbies, it funnels nearly all your motivation into a single, repetitive act. The result? Your world of joy narrows until release feels like the only source of pleasure left. But here's the good news: your brain isn't stuck this way forever. Thanks to its built-in ability called neuroplasticity, it can form new, healthier pathways at any age. By slowing the frequency of self-stimulation and creating space between sessions, you can help your brain relearn a broader definition of reward. Practical steps matter here. Try leaving at least a full day between sessions. Incorporate light exercise like a daily walk, which raises dopamine naturally and more sustainably. Revisit an old hobby, dust off a book you used to enjoy, or call a trusted friend for a genuine conversation. Each of these actions reminds your brain that there are many ways to feel good and that deep, lasting satisfaction often comes from connection, purpose, and creativity. Because intimacy is far more than a moment of climax. It's about sharing thoughts, enjoying affectionate touch, and building meaningful bonds. When masturbation becomes your only form of comfort, it risks suffocating these deeper, human experiences often without you even noticing. The changes we've just uncovered may be subtle at first, but they carry a heavy weight over time. And while many men think the consequences are all in their head, the truth is, these brain changes can have a very real, physical impact. That's why, in the next part, we need to turn our focus to a threat you cannot afford to ignore, one that doesn't just affect your brain, but your heart. Because even the most experienced cardiologists sometimes miss the connection between frequent self-stimulation and sudden, dangerous spikes in cardiovascular strain. I've seen it firsthand in men like Frank, a disciplined retiree who had spent decades managing his high blood pressure with medication, diet, and daily walks, only to discover that this private habit was silently working against him. And what happened to Frank could happen to any man over 60 who doesn't understand this link. Let's break it down next. From the last section, we saw how hidden changes in the brain can quietly reshape desire and motivation. But those same private habits can also leave a mark on the heart, sometimes in ways that catch even the most careful men by surprise. Frank, a 72-year-old retiree, thought he was the picture of good health. For decades, he had managed his high blood pressure with discipline, taking his medication on time, following his doctor's advice, staying active, and eating with care. By all accounts, his cardiovascular health seemed steady. But then something alarming began to happen. Out of nowhere, Frank started experiencing sudden chest tightness, a pounding heartbeat, and dizzy spells. The episodes were brief but intense, and they didn't seem to follow any clear pattern. Even his cardiologist, who knew his history well, couldn't immediately explain them. It was Frank's wife who first noticed the connection. She began quietly keeping track of when these spells occurred, and a troubling pattern emerged. Each episode came shortly after Frank's private sexual release. This wasn't easy for him to admit. Many men feel embarrassed discussing such details, even with the person closest to them. But the truth is, sexual arousal and climax place a very specific type of stress on the cardiovascular system. In just a few moments, heart rate and blood pressure can shoot up dramatically, creating a sharp spike that even well-managed medication may not fully blunt. For men over 60, especially those living with hypertension, diabetes, or a history of heart disease, these sudden surges can be more than just uncomfortable. They can push a vulnerable heart beyond its safe limits. Frank had assumed his heart was strong enough because he exercised and kept his numbers under control. But sexual exertion isn't the same as a brisk walk or light chores. During orgasm, the heart can jump 30 to 50 beats per minute, while blood pressure rises quickly in seconds. Think of it like an older car engine. You can drive it for miles on a smooth road with no problem. But slam the accelerator to the floor, and the strain can reveal weaknesses you never noticed. The heart works in much the same way. It can handle steady, gradual effort, but a sudden, intense push is different. Daily activities might feel fine, but that quick, unprepared surge in arousal even during a solitary moment can place unpredictable strain on the cardiovascular system. Unlike exercise, which warms the body up and gives the heart time to adapt, masturbation tends to load the system all at once. The privacy, the rush of sexual tension, and the absence of pacing combine into a powerful jolt with no warning. That's why the real danger often stays hidden until something goes wrong. And as Dr. Nana would tell you, it's far better to address these risks early than to wait until a heart emergency lands you in the air. There are practical ways to protect yourself without giving up your sexual health. Moderate frequency, give your body recovery time between sessions. Keep intensity reasonable, avoid excessive strain. Communicate openly with your doctor. Your sexual health is part of your overall health profile, especially after 60. There is no shame in discussing masturbation or sexual activity with your physician. It's a normal, important aspect of life, and the more your healthcare provider knows, the better they can help you stay safe. And here's a critical point. If you ever notice chest discomfort, irregular pounding in your chest, dizziness, or shortness of breath during or after sexual release, take it seriously. These can be warning signs of an underlying heart issue that needs attention now, not later. A simple conversation could prevent a life-threatening event and allow you to keep enjoying a safe, satisfying, intimate life. Your sexual well-being and your heart health are closely linked. They both deserve the same care and respect as any other part of your body. But while the cardiovascular risks are serious, there's another dimension we need to discuss, one that can creep in even without obvious physical symptoms. When masturbation becomes your main coping mechanism for stress or loneliness, it can quietly chip away at mental clarity, emotional balance, and even the sharp thinking you've built over decades. That brings us to David's story. At 69, he had spent a lifetime as a respected accountant. His mind was his greatest asset, precise, logical, and dependable. But recently, his family had noticed subtle changes. He seemed distracted, unfocused, and less engaged with the people he loved. Conversations drifted. He couldn't stay present. Even reading the newspaper or talking to his grandchildren became a struggle. David himself explained it in plain words. I'd find myself unable to concentrate on anything else. My thoughts would just circle back, and I couldn't focus on conversations or finish reading. It was like my mind was always somewhere else. This wasn't just a normal slip in attention. This is what can happen when sexual release becomes the default way of handling emotions. It often begins quietly after retirement, during health challenges, or in the face of personal loss. At first, it might feel harmless, even helpful. But over time, it can replace more constructive coping strategies. Every time sexual release occurs, the brain delivers a rush of dopamine and endorphins, briefly lifting mood. But if that becomes your primary source of comfort, your brain starts to lose flexibility. Thinking patterns narrow, mental fog rolls in, and before long, life's other pleasures, meaningful conversation, hobbies, learning, creativity can fade into the background. When this happens, the cost is more than just distraction. It's the gradual erosion of the mental sharpness that took years to build. And the next part of our conversation will look closely at how to protect and even restore that clarity, so you can stay focused, connected, and in control. You might not notice the shift right away, but there are red flags that signal when sexual release is starting to take too much space in your mental and emotional life. Watch for patterns like struggling to focus on everyday tasks, using masturbation to avoid dealing with problems, or feeling restless, anxious, and irritable when you can't get that release. Some men even begin to withdraw, neglecting relationships, skipping hobbies, and letting responsibilities slide. Short-term memory slips, or a lingering mental cloud after the act, can also be signs that your mind is paying the price. Here's the truth: you deserve a life filled with clarity, focus, and emotional balance. And there's so much more out there than an exhausting cycle of release followed by regret. You can reclaim control with simple, powerful tools that rebuild your mental resilience. Start by grounding yourself in mindfulness. Just a few minutes of focused breathing each day can calm the nervous system and clear the mental noise. Step outside for a daily walk, or try gentle movement practices like Tai Chi, which combines balance, breathing, and slow, deliberate motion to ease tension. Redirect your energy into creativity or connection. Paint, play music, keep a journal, volunteer at your local center. Join a club where conversation and laughter can replace isolation. The more you expand your world, the less you'll rely on one habit to soothe you. And if you feel trapped in the same loop, speak with a professional counselor. Many older men face retirement shifts, grief, or health worries, and talking through them can dissolve the heavy emotional knots that fuel dependency. These habits open the door to healthier coping strategies. They also remind you that sexual pleasure is only one chapter in the story of a full, rich emotional life, not the entire book. By broadening your sources of comfort and joy, you give yourself the gift of mental flexibility and long-term well-being. But while mental effects often build up slowly, the next concern can appear almost overnight, and it strikes directly at how you see yourself in the mirror. I remember James, a 73-year-old man who walked into my clinic expecting a quick reassurance. He'd always noticed a few hairs on his pillow or in the shower, just part of getting older. His father had gone bald early, so he figured it was in the cards for him too. But over just 6 months, the hair around his temples and crown thinned so fast it rattled him. What had once been soft and healthy turned coarse, brittle, and lifeless. James assumed it was simply age and genes. But I noticed patterns that didn't fit the usual slow march of male pattern baldness. His hair loss was accelerating far too quickly. After a careful conversation, the missing piece came out. Since retiring, James had been more sexually active, mostly through self-pleasure as a daily way to relax and unwind. On the surface, it seemed harmless. But physiologically, every sexual climax triggers a cascade of hormonal changes, including a brief spike in testosterone and, crucially, a rise in dihydrotestosterone DHT. This powerful hormone binds to hair follicle receptors in men who are genetically predisposed to hair loss. Over time, it shrinks those follicles until they stop producing new hair altogether. For most men, this process unfolds over years. But when hormone spikes happen daily, especially in later life, the damage can accelerate dramatically. Think of it as fast-forwarding a movie. You get to the end far sooner than you expected. This doesn't mean shutting down your sexuality. It means recognizing that your behavior can push your genetics harder than necessary. James didn't want to just accept his fate, he wanted a plan. And that's exactly what we built. If you notice your hair thinning more rapidly and you have a habit of frequent self-pleasure, try easing into a slower rhythm every other day, or even less often. Keep a small journal and jot down how your hair feels and looks over the next few weeks. Many men are surprised to see small but real improvements in thickness and texture when hormone swings calm down. Beyond frequency, speak with your doctor about medical tools that can help. Medications like finasteride can block DHT, slowing down follicle shrinkage and giving you more time with the hair you have. It's not instant magic, but it can help preserve both your hair and your confidence. And don't underestimate the power of everyday habits. What you eat and how you move directly affect your hormone balance. Focus on foods rich in zinc, biotin, and lean proteins. These nutrients strengthen hair at the cellular level. Stay active with moderate, regular exercise such as walking, light weight training, or swimming. Good circulation nourishes the scalp, while steady movement helps keep cortisol, the stress hormone, under control. Too much cortisol can throw your hormones even further off balance, creating a double hit to your hair health. In the end, protecting your hair in your 60s and 70s isn't about vanity, it's about maintaining the confidence and self-image that fuel every part of your life. And that's exactly where we'll turn next. In page 5, we'll explore how sexual habits can influence not just your appearance, but the deeper sense of vitality that shapes how you walk, talk, and engage with the world every single day. Managing stress is about far more than just feeling calm. Chronic tension and emotional strain ripple through your entire hormone network, disrupting testosterone, spiking DHT, and throwing your body's delicate balance off course. That's why the way you manage life's pressures directly influences everything from your hairline to your vitality. Simple practices like deep breathing, engaging in hobbies, or surrounding yourself with uplifting social activities can quiet those stress signals, giving your body a chance to reset and your energy a chance to flourish. Moderate masturbation in itself isn't harmful. The real key is finding a rhythm that works with your body instead of against it, one that allows your hormones to stay steady rather than constantly fluctuating. Think of it as listening to your body's dashboard lights. When you learn to read the signs and adjust accordingly, you stay in control of your health rather than letting ingrained habits take the wheel. For James, the man we spoke about earlier, understanding the link between his daily sexual routine and his hair loss was a turning point. He no longer saw baldness as an unavoidable punishment of aging, but as an early warning signal, one that pushed him to rebalance his habits, protect his confidence, and live with greater peace of mind. But while hair loss mostly changes how you see yourself in the mirror, the next challenge hits even closer to home, directly affecting your sexual well-being. And when that's shaken, it can undermine your confidence in every part of life. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Repeated, intense self-stimulation doesn't just influence your hormones, it can train your brain to respond to a very specific pattern of pleasure. And when that pattern changes, as it inevitably does with a new partner or different circumstances, your body may not respond the way you want. Michael, age 66, learned this firsthand. After the end of a decades-long marriage, he was eager to rediscover intimacy. He wanted the excitement, the connection, and that rush of feeling alive again. But when the moment came, he noticed his erections felt softer, faded more quickly, and refused to hold steady. Even though his desire was real, his confidence started to crumble. That kind of letdown can feel like stepping into battle without armor. You begin to fear intimacy instead of looking forward to it. The problem isn't always low testosterone or poor circulation, although those factors can play a role. The deeper issue lies in the brain's wiring. Here's why. The human brain thrives on repetition. Every time you stimulate yourself in the same way, with the same speed, pressure, and mental imagery, you're carving a groove into your nervous system. That groove becomes the default route for your arousal. Over months or years, your brain becomes less able to adapt to a different pace, setting, or touch. In real-life intimacy, where timing, movement, and emotional connection are unpredictable, your brain may struggle to switch lanes. The result is what doctors call weakened erection quality. Erections that lose firmness midway, require increasingly specific triggers, or feel disconnected during partner sex. Many men report they can perform well alone, yet stumble when a partner is involved. This mismatch can feel humiliating. Over time, it erodes your desire for closeness altogether, not because you've lost interest, but because you're avoiding potential disappointment. But let me be clear, you are not broken. This is not a life sentence. What you're experiencing is simply the brain adapting to a narrow pattern of stimulation. And the encouraging news is that you can retrain it. Here's a step-by-step plan to begin that reset. Step 1. Take a pause 7-14 days. Give your body and brain a complete break from any sexual activity, including masturbation. Think of this as a factory reset for your arousal pathways. During this time, your nervous system regains sensitivity, making it more responsive to new, more varied forms of stimulation. Step 2. Change the script when you reintroduce sexual activity. Avoid falling back into the exact same habits. Experiment with lighter touch, different angles, and slower pacing. This variation encourages your brain to rewire, making it easier to respond naturally to a partner's touch. Step 3. Practice mindfulness during intimacy. Instead of rushing toward release, focus on sensation. Notice how your breathing changes, how your muscles respond, and how your emotions shift in real time. This awareness not only deepens pleasure, but also strengthens your connection to your partner, a crucial part of sustaining arousal. By following this approach, you give your brain and body the opportunity to adapt, reconnect, and regain flexibility. Over time, these changes can restore not only your erection quality, but also your confidence in intimacy, helping you step into each moment fully present, without fear of failure. Let the experience unfold at its own pace like a slow, beautiful sunrise rather than sprinting toward a single, blinding flash. When you only chase fantasy or rush toward climax, you're reinforcing narrow, repetitive patterns that can wear down your natural arousal pathways over time. It's like walking the same short trail every day. You know every turn, every bump, but the adventure and discovery are gone. Instead, think of intimacy as a full journey, one that's meant to be savored. Take the time to explore it, to feel it in your body, to let it breathe. If your usual routine has been locked into the same predictable script for years, it's time to start writing new chapters. One of the simplest and most powerful shifts is to bring in elements that mimic real partner connection. That could be the sound of a partner's voice, the warmth of touch, or the rhythm of movement that feels shared. Even subtle changes like adjusting the lighting, adding gentle textures, or slowing your pace can help retrain your arousal to connect with something real and emotionally fulfilling. These aren't just tips. They are invitations, small, deliberate shifts that can reconnect your sexual energy with a style of intimacy that is richer, deeper, and more human. When you start to approach intimacy this way, it stops feeling mechanical and starts feeling meaningful. And here's perhaps the most important change: shift your focus. Stop treating orgasm as the only destination. Instead, learn to enjoy the pleasure of the entire experience, from the first stirrings of arousal to the deep sense of connection, to simply being present in your body. When you give yourself permission to embrace the whole journey, not just the finish line, you create space for your sexual system to recover its full range of sensation, emotion, and satisfaction. Here's the truth that many men overlook. The male body, even well into the later decades of life, can adapt with remarkable resilience. What feels broken or unchangeable is usually just a pattern, one that can be reshaped with patience, compassion, and the willingness to try something new. Believe that sex can improve at any age with thoughtful adjustments, because it absolutely can. I've worked with men who followed this approach and saw transformations they never imagined possible: firmer, more dependable erections, renewed confidence that radiated into every part of their lives, and a deeper sense of closeness with their partners. They didn't just reclaim their sex lives, they reclaimed their vitality. The challenge is that this problem often sneaks up on you. Weakening erection quality from years of repetitive solo stimulation doesn't arrive suddenly. It creeps in, inch by inch, until one day you feel a subtle disconnection during intimacy or notice performance anxiety creeping in. Think of it like a bridge slowly weakening from lack of maintenance. With the right care and strategies, you can not only restore it, you can make it stronger than before, ready to carry you confidently into deeply satisfying, connected intimacy. And remember, masturbation after 60 is not inherently good or bad, it's simply a tool. Like any tool, its impact depends entirely on how you choose to use it. Done with awareness, it can help preserve your confidence, maintain healthy function, and even lift your mood. Done mindlessly, it can gradually drain your vitality and pull you further away from real connection. The choice is yours, and it's worth making with intention, because your health, your happiness, and your relationships are still worth protecting. This stage of life is not about giving up pleasure or denying what you enjoy. It's about approaching it with more wisdom, more intention, and more care than ever before. You have the chance to write a new chapter, one filled with deeper meaning, greater satisfaction, and a stronger sense of self-respect. Your body is still capable. Your desire still matters. That inner spark is still alive. It just needs the right kind of attention to burn brightly again. The feelings you carry, desire, curiosity, longing, aren't just echoes from your youth. They're part of who you are right now. And just as a garden can bloom again with fresh care, your intimate life can flourish again with just a few small changes. With focus and presence, you can transform private moments from something routine into something that truly lifts you up physically, emotionally, and even spiritually. If what we've discussed today resonates with you, stay with me. In an upcoming video, I'll share a simple, natural approach that has already helped countless men reclaim their strength, confidence, and sexual vitality. Some have noticed improvements as soon as the next morning, and you could too. So take these ideas, put them into practice, and give yourself the gift of patience. Be kind to yourself. Believe that the best chapters of your intimate life are still ahead. This is Senior Health Boost, where we believe that life after 60 can be stronger, more passionate, and more fulfilling than ever. If this message inspired you, give this video a like, share it with a friend who could benefit, and subscribe to Senior Health Boost so you never miss a life-changing conversation. Your journey isn't over, it's just getting started.